Yes, that's right. It is Thursday. It is 9. So, UK Cowboys time. Mr. Paul, yes. It seems only less than 24 hours ago I was speaking to, sir.
Yes, sir. It was. We had the great Jesse Hawley on the Cowboys Experience show, and yeah, that was fun. That was
Yeah,
fun yesterday.
he's actually speaking to Jeff Cav later.
Oh yeah, but Mr. Kavanagh.
Yeah, that's somebody we need to get back in touch with, by the way, to let him know we're coming over. I don't think he knows.
Oh, trust me, he knows.
Oh,
Trust me.
you've
Yeah.
told?
No, Meg or Kelsey or Dave will tell him, no
That's
doubt.
true.
But we'll reach out to him and make sure as well.
Yeah, he's always a fun one to take out for a laugh. He seems like the type of guy who'll do a few shots.
I guess so.
Yeah. We'll go with a yes. But how you doing anyway? I'm like as you already know, I'm on the carbonated, sugary drinks to get me through today because I'm feeling the pinch from last night.
Say that again, sorry.
Oh, sorry, you didn't hear me. I was saying, how are you feeling? I'm on the carbonated, sugary drinks to get me through tonight.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad that you're asked. Like, again, kind of going back from yesterday's conversation with Jesse, he brought us to the secret of cherry juice. So that's what I'm on tonight. And needless to say, I have been enjoying it today. So,
well, as long as you're enjoying it, mate, that's all that matters. Ironically, I'm on the cherry Coke. So it's cherry. It's got cherries in it. I'm not sure if it's real cherry, but there we go. But yeah, we are here, guys, to talk about. It's actually the final padded practice open to the public before Saturday's game, which we'll get into. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But we're here to talk about this week's run of practices. And here we go, Paul. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? I'm about to put a very big smile on your face and everyone at home. Cowboys have a game this Saturday.
Finally.
Yeah. How does that make you feel?
I'm just glad football's back. I really am. I really, really do. And
did you watch the Hall of Fame? Did you stay up to watch it? I didn't.
If it's not the Cowboys, I have no interest. Put it that way. But
I don't mind.
Although I did see a clip from the Hard Knocks series where Aaron Rodgers is on the sideline talking to Zach Wilson, thought that was pretty cool. So,
yeah. Talking of that, I seen a practice the other day, and Sauce Gardner picked Rodgers off. But I mean, that's no surprise, to be honest with you. But anyway, yeah. So let's get into practices first, and then we'll talk about the game coming up on Saturday. Let us know as well, everyone at home, your thoughts and feelings on Saturday's game, preseason game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Kicks off here in the UK at 10 p.m. But that's okay. I could deal with that. Watch a bit of that and then get straight into the UFC, Paul.
Definitely.
There you go, see? There's always a plan to these things. Kinda. Talking of plan, trying to find out what's going on with college football in the UK. That is a minefield right now. But anyway, I'm not going to go down that road because we'll be here until next week talking about that. So let's start off with the beginning of the week, because it's a tale of sort of two halves this week that we've seen. So first of all, we had a little bit of a scare to start the week, where Mazi Smith went to go get a knee scope, MRI on his knee. Good news is nothing is wrong. What has been said today by Michael Gelkin, literally reported about 5 minutes before. There are all these people. They're beautiful, lovely people all joining us. The great Ukis. He's reported that Mazi is actually going to play Saturday. He's going to play his very first snap on in a Cowboys jersey on the field this weekend. That's good news. How much he plays, I don't know, because obviously whatever's happened with his knee, they're going to want to take it easy, but they still want to obviously get him on the field, get him some snaps. Tell me what you think.
Well, from the reports I've read so far, it's just a strain to his knee. It's
Yeah.
like it was more of a precaution. They're not, the Cowboys medical staff are not particularly worried by it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm super excited. And speaking of someone that should be excited, is our good friend Christopher Lee. Chris Lee. And yes, I'm not wearing a baseball cap, funny enough, because I've shaved my head. So I'm embracing the bonus because I am going on holiday next week. So
you
I
are.
want I don't want to have a like complete non-tanned area on the top of my head. So appreciate it.
Yeah, we've done that one before, you know, with those trucker caps, both looking like like a barbecue grill.
Yeah.
It's the best way to describe it. Like the thing is people are like, oh, those trucker caps, and you're like, listen, if you're bald, they're the enemy.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So yeah, you're going on holidays, and then I'm going off to Spain. So we're gonna miss each other for a little while. But it's okay. I'll send you occasional voice notes to let you know I'm still thinking of you, mate. Go on.
Oh no, I was just saying. So yeah.
yeah, I know. That's your usual response when I say shit like that. Ooh, I just dropped a bomb. Never mind. But yeah. So Mazzy's going to be playing. Other big news is Luke Schoonmaker. He's been playing. I think it was Tuesday's practice. Seen quite a bit of him, looking really good, moving, catching balls away from his body. Even caught a touchdown, which is officially his first touchdown for Dallas. But had to go horizontal to catch the ball. Good body control, good hands, made the catch. What's your thoughts? Are you, because obviously we've got this medical foot injury with him. He's looked fine in practices, coming along nicely. But would you play him this weekend, Paul, just to see what you've got, even if it's just like for one play, or are you playing it completely safe at this stage with him?
I'll just do it. I wouldn't do maybe a rep, just one rep to see how he feels, and give him maybe a couple more just to get him in the swing of things. That's it. Nothing more.
Nothing too heavy.
Nah, nothing too heavy. No.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do. I would get him in there on a couple of plays. And ask him how he feels, because from practice he looked completely fine. It looked like he was like there was nothing bothering him. I know they said last week they were like, oh, he's had a setback, and people immediately were like, oh, is he re-aggravating? And it's like, well, Mike McCarthy didn't specify when the setback happened. The setback could have happened months ago, and that's why it pushed him forward or pushed him back. That's where you look at it. But you definitely, I think you need to get him on the field just to have some looks, to see what you've got with him. And, you know, just to, because when you think about it, he hasn't really played in quite a while because he's been resting with a foot injury. So you want to try and get, you know, knock some of the dust off and, you know, chip some of the ice off the joints there and get him moving. So I think that's quite important. But the big one, Paul, that I think we need to pay most attention to because of what's happened this week. So the Cowboys released or waived one of our kickers, which means we've only got one kicker on the roster now, Brandon Aubrey. He went 6 for 7 today, missed one kick at 43 yards. Lots and lots of kicking, Paul. Do you want to just like be like, because remember these preseason games, people I think put too much emphasis on what the score is or what the stats are. Really, you're just trying things out and you're trying players, especially down roster guys, especially the first preseason game. Would you purposely just like start like taking field goals at random points?
I don't see why not. I mean, put him into deep waters because he's going to like Aubrey's going to feel the pressure regardless because he's the least experienced kicker probably in the NFL right now. True. and also like to him to be part of this roster, he really needs to kind of show can he deal with pressure. So, I mean, there's one thing saying it's okay missing a couple of kicks in practice and whatnot, but under the real life situations of like special teams and stuff like that, he needs to execute. So,
yeah,
like even if we're like we're more likely to kind of like run the ball for an extra couple of yards and get a first down, I don't see why not just bring the kicking team out and just actually like, okay, mate, I know we're just going to do it. Like, I don't care for third down. Like, because end of the day, it is a preseason game. The score does not freaking matter. It's a matter of actually building up your roster. So that's the.
It's seeing what you've got. It's testing, like you say. And this is a good time to find out if a guy can sink or swim. Put him out there, like you say, into the deep end. Let's go. And, you know, like what I'd be doing is I'd be trying to make my kicks like awkward on purpose. So if he's like, I prefer the ball to be on the left hash, because at the moment he's spraying, right? So he's not particularly drifting balls to the left or the right. He's spraying them both ways, which tells you there's an accuracy issue. Because normally, if it's going one way or the other, you just started taking up golf, Paul. So, you know, if you're fading, you kind of aim a little bit across one way to because you know that it's happening. If you're doing that as a kicker, then that's what you start aiming. You start aiming the other way. But because he's spraying, then that tells you you've got an issue both ways. So you're gonna have to just like make things as awkward as possible, even if you're like getting your kicker iced. That's perfect. Get these sort of things happening, and see where you're going. Because I mean, do you think that there's going to be like one of these free agent kickers that are coming in after the third preseason game? Do you think that's the plan?
Would it surprise you? That's the question.
No, I think it's. Do you know what I think? Tell me if you agree with this, Paul. The reason they haven't signed a kicker yet is because none of the kickers that are on the free agent market want to go to a training camp. That's what I think. And I think they've got a guy lined up, and he's just like, yeah, wait till you get past camp, and then I'll come and join you guys.
I hadn't even thought about that, actually, because all he has to do is just practice kicks every single day. Like
he could do that at home.
That onside kicks, long range kicks, shorthand kicks, field goal kicks, extra point kicks, just like analyzing the distance. Also scrub kicks, like all these different scenarios. Like he'll be working with that. Like if you've got a guy like Justin Tucker who has an actual kicking coach, surely kickers nowadays are starting to kind of like go through that whole like, okay, I need an actual kicking coach to get me ready. Why do I need like? Because for me, I just need to like. I'm trying to make this sound like very naive in a way, but in terms of special teams, it's probably the most simplest of all playbooks.
Oh yeah.
Like especially like the most complicated one is probably kickoff. What direction you're going?
But like
you're ever turning it to the left, straight down the middle,
right,
so that your guys in the side, like your
going the right way,
are going in the right direction.
Yeah,
right. Scrub kick as well. You need to know like how to
roughly where it's going to bounce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So all those wee things, like you don't need to bring a kicker to camp. I tend to agree. You don't necessarily need to bring a kicker to camp for that. Like if anything, is actually putting more of a distraction, I would say. Like, but again, to counter out with that is the pressure you're getting at training camp. Kickers need to feel the frustration from fans if they're making a mistake or not. They need to know that what they're doing better. Like they need to know what the environment is like being part of this team. They need to know the teammates. They need to know their long snapper. They need to know that
that's the one.
They need to know that they need to know their placeholder, the ball placeholder. So they need to get in rhythm with those guys.
Yeah, that's the big one. The big one really is just getting your rhythm and timing with the snap and the hold. You know, because like there's just certain little things. Do you know what I mean? That it's like, oh, the ball's coming in this direction. We're on this side of the hash. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to get the ball here. We want to do it at this time. So in this amount of space and time is when the ball's going to be there. That, and like you say, it's about rhythm and timing. So that's really the most important thing. But you could probably smash that out if you worked on it every day, like really hard. You could probably get that down within a couple of weeks.
I mean, it just like, and I suppose as well for kickers as well, there will be the rare occasion that they will need to make contact. They will need to practice tackling.
Oh yeah.
So they will need to go to training camp for that, to like, in case of those scenarios, in case a player does break upfield and the kicker is the last man of defense. Like, he needs to literally be a Pat McAfee and not the guy clean out.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's going to be an interesting one. But I mean, like I say, we'll talk about the Saturday game in a moment. But the early practices of the week, Tuesday mostly, saw defense winning the day. Trayvon Diggs got 2 interceptions. Leighton Vander Esch got an interception. There was sacks coming in from everywhere. I know, like, obviously in camp, it's a tap on the helmet, the chest, the shoulder, the play's over. But, you know, they continue the play because they're running routes. They want to see how things look. But theoretically, the play is dead.
Yeah.
Micah Parsons is just a complete nuisance. Anyone who thought...
In a good way.
Yeah. He's just living in the backfield. And, like, people keep complaining about, you know, the offensive line, and they're just like, Micah Parsons this, and, you know, all we're seeing is Micah Parsons about, and you're like, but hold on a minute, here he is.
Hey, here he is
in the building. But yeah, I was just saying that with Micah Parsons, like, you think about it, how many Micah Parsons in the NFL is this offensive line going to face?
Very true. And I always believe in the scenario, iron sharpens iron.
Definitely. Yeah,
like,
sure.
If you've got a good defense, that should actually help boost up your offense. Get the best.
Yeah, of course. And here's the thing that, you know, as much as we say how disruptive Micah Parsons is, and he is, when you stop and you think about it as well, when you've watched some of the plays, there's offensive linemen who are backup offensive linemen, as well as Tyron Smith has stopped Micah Parsons. Like, there's been a string of plays where they've managed to stop him. So it's like, it's not all bad. But what you got to understand is when people are watching it and they're seeing it, it's like, but this is what we're saying. You can't turn around and say Micah Parsons is this elite pass rusher and then flip the coin round the other way and be like, well, this offensive line is bunk. Because it's like, well, it's one or the other. Is Micah Parsons elite or is the offensive line bad?
I'd agree. In fact, I mean, obviously, I've just been behind enemy lines there, and I think to a man, every team, they've been saying that, you know, obviously, all the NFC East teams have been heavily involved in defense this year, and what you're seeing in their training camps as well is that there's question marks about their offensive line. But again, will that question mark be there after these preseason games where you're getting to see them against somebody else other than the top ranked defenses that you're talking about within the NFC East? I mean, obviously Washington with Payne and Young and all that sort of stuff. The Eagles line with you know, all their guys. Sorry, the Georgia Bulldogs. And even obviously the Giants have got guys like Thibodeau and Dexter Lawrence and what have you.
Yeah.
So they've got strength as well. And, you know, but obviously Giants have invested heavily in their offensive line this offseason, given left tackle money and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And they're also got question marks in their training camps as well, because, you know, one day the defense is absolutely obliterating the offensive line. The next day the offensive line's getting their shots in and everything like that. I think the fact that, you know, the offense is managing to do some things against our defense suggests that we won't be as bad as you might expect with this offensive line, but
Yeah.
until you can see it in these preseason games, and this is what we need to see it.
I mean, like, when you stop and you think about it, like, all right, the 49ers defense is good, right? It's really good. And that's really as far as I can think things would go, right? In terms of what this offense will face. So that means that this offensive line, wide receivers, running back, the lot, Dak as well. That means they're facing one of the best defenses the NFL has right now. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Cowboys fan, obviously. They genuinely are. When you look at it, this Cowboys defense is stacked across the board. And they're not cutting any plays because they don't have to until cut down day, where they go down immediately to 53. So that means all of your good players and rotation players are all right there right now. So they could do whatever they want, and they are. But this offense is still having... Now, obviously, as we said, Tuesday was the defense's day. They were really good. But today, the offensive was winning. When you're watching Oxnard and watching it today, that offense... And Dak was making some really good throws. Will Greer was making some good throws as well. Cooper Rush threw a touchdown to Jalen Tolbert, who's absolutely on fire right now. And then you look at like the other rookies as well who are playing. Jonathan Stevens. Here's a question for you guys. I don't know if you've been watching, how much you've been watching of it. I think they take 4 tight ends, right? I think. Might more likely be 3, depending on which way they want to structure it. If they keep Lipke or how many running backs they decide to keep rolling. So if they do keep 4, I'm actually torn right now from what I've seen on whether they keep Sean McEwen or whether they keep John Stevens Jr.
I'd agree. I mean, they've
close.
all had good camps.
Mm.
Do you go for the veteran presence, albeit he's relatively untested, in Sean McKeon, or do
special
you bring
teamer guy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or do you stick with somebody like John Stevens Jr., who obviously that big frame that he's got as well. I mean, it's useful for leaping up and taking passes out of the sky as well. So
it's got a little bit of Kyle Pitts about him.
He does, yes, yeah.
That's what you kind of, not to that degree, but just in terms of the style of player. That's this undersized tight end but oversized wide receiver. It is what I'm seeing, and like you say, who can jump and catch the ball. So today was more on wins on the offense. CeeDee Lamb, I mean, he was back and he made one particular catch in the corner of the end zone on a back shoulder fade, and I'm telling you, that had Des Bryant written all over it. Have you seen the play, Paul?
I haven't seen it yet, no.
I will send it to you. When you watch it, you're going to go, oh my, am I watching Des Bryant? Because of the 88 as well. Do you know what I mean? Everything about it. So you're watching it like, that's a Des Bryant catch I just watched there. You know, like that particular, like just straight up and down and aggressive with the ball in the corner of the end zone, manipulating and turning his body on the catch. As he's high point. I mean, you just look at it and you're like, yep, okay, that's a Des Bryant catch right there. So that was impressive too. Osa Odigizua, guys. Can I just say, I don't think he's getting enough love.
I would agree. I think from what I've seen, it's particularly, I think the blue-white scrimmage that I sat and watched.
Yeah,
I thought he was doing a job. He's having a relatively quiet camp, and that guys aren't jumping up and down about him. But I think his position is safe by all means. I would see him being a starter, or certainly a main rotational partner for Hankins or whoever's at the one pick. But you're not hearing people jumping up and down about him, and that's that's good that he's not making bad plays or whatever. True. But
I think that's the position. Do you think, Lorne? Because it's an unselfish position, the defensive tackle.
It is. I would say it's the one technique is probably the most unselfish, and then the three should be getting. I mean, that was the three technique was Leon Lett. So you had the love there, where Russell Maryland was relatively unknown in terms of the defense. He was more your one technique at that point in time. So, but I think Osa's doing a good job. And again, you're still looking at probably the likes of Gallimore is relatively quiet. You're not hearing a lot from him.
Yeah. Or Golston.
And Golston, I've heard a bit more about as well. Probably actually, I've heard more from Golston than I actually have with Osa. But I think from what I've seen with Osa, I think he's certainly head and tails above Golston. So,
and at this stage, I'm thinking take all three nose tackles. I got asked the question in hey, look who it is. Which would be better, to take three tacks or three nose tackles? I was like, And now I'm thinking about it and looking at the guys. I'm like, take all three. Take Mazzy, Bohanna, and Hankins. Take all three in there. Make that the way that you rotate that defensive line about. Because like you say, Gallimore's been fairly quiet, and this really had to be a make or break year for him. And so far, it's been fairly quiet. Sorry, Paul. Paul. Sorry, Paul. Hold on. Moving on. So, some sad news that happened today. Chuma Udoka got carted off the field. That guy just does not catch a break. From college to even when he got to the NFL, that guy is just having issues every season, getting injured, and it looks like it's happened again. Carted off, did look to be very discomforted by whatever it was, looking like the knee. At this stage, guys, what are we thinking? I mean, that was a guard a plan going out the window right there. Go out and get somebody. What are we doing?
We need to at least get more bodies just for backups now.
Yeah.
At the very least.
And I mean, I've been relatively underwhelmed by what Udoka's done as well. So
emotional damage.
So yeah, I mean, I think he's lucky that we're not having to make changes or make cut downs early on, because I think he relatively could have been one of the first cut downs or whatever. You're hearing names like Asim Richards and what have you. You're hearing more from them than you are from Udoka, unless you're hearing that Micah Parsons whipped past Udoka and landed at Dak's feet or whatever. So I think his time was short anyway, and this should probably get him a nice injury settlement, if anything else. So,
and there we go. The most important message of the day: barbecue. Yep. Not long. We'll have to start doing a countdown of when Thanksgiving is. That'll be the next countdown. I'm in the middle of already doing a countdown, so my hands are tied. I'm not doing another one right now. That's the big news about Udoka, which is quite bad. Obviously, as well, tied on top of that is Ronald Jones. I know we spoke about it, but it's also come out he's got an injury as well, leg injury, knee, I believe. So there's that waiting in the wind. The other big news was Tyler Biadasz on Tuesday went down, rolled his ankle, came back out to try and do some individual drills, went back into the locker room again, never to be seen. Good news is it's nothing serious, and he's back out doing his thing. Because I think if we went down this road of losing Tyler Biadasz, along with whatever's going on with Zach Martin, which we'll touch on now, I think that's just a disaster. That's the inside offensive line going down the toilet there. So that's some good news. So let's get on to Zach Martin, guys, and let us know at home your thoughts and feelings on Zach Martin, because this is a big one. Because it's continuing on. I did a tweet the other day. He's now he would now be up to 600,000 in fines, which is non-negotiable or refundable. It's held by the league, not the team, so they will not give it back. What are we thinking at this stage? Because we're now into the week 3 of training camp. I know we've had this before with Larry Allen, but that was slightly different. What are we thinking? We're getting nervous yet?
Nah, I'm not nervous, to be honest.
I'm not really either. I mean, the fact that you're seeing again, he's working with Duke Manyweather as well. So, and you know the number of posts. Normally, Zach is quite quiet during the off season and everything like that. And you don't see him appearing on Duke's videos or anything like that. But you know, just about every single day, there's a picture with Duke and Zach working out, or a video, or whatever. And you know, he's not sitting. It's not like he's sitting around on his couch at home, you know, piling on the pounds or anything. He's out there working. Fair enough. He's not building the chemistry with the team, but I think for a guy like that, I mean, he can step in as long as Steele's there and Biadish is there. He should be able to step in, and within a week, it should be able to be up and ready. And you know, again, going into this preseason game, see how the backups work. If there's any, you know, if it works in the backups' favour, where they actually show they can compete quite well, that maybe stirs Zach Martin to get back into camp and take it on. Alternatively, if they go and screw the pooch at the weekend, you know, that maybe gets Jerry on the phone and getting a little bit antsy. But
I mean, the thing is, you can't you can't put too much stock in like the result. I mean, if you're saying like screw the pooch in that, say like, you know, because the Jags are planning on playing their stars, their firsts.
Yep.
So they're going to have their first against whatever offensive line we decide to put out. And so let's say those stars just have an absolute field day against Will Grier. And it's unbearable. That I would say, yeah. But I mean, if it's like, they lost the game, but like it didn't look too bad in the trenches, he's not going to really. I don't think at that stage you're making the call here. Yeah, I would agree on that one. Right. So let's talk about the running backs as well this week. Because there's been an interesting development for the running back rotation. This is exciting. So, okay. We got told about, what was it, a week ago, Paul? Rico Dowdle is the RB2. Looks that way. Looks set to go that way. Things are moving on that way. But what has happened recently? I mean, Deuce Vaughn is looking fine. He's looking like, you know, he's everything plus more. But what happened today? Are you ready for this, Paul?
Go for it.
Kevontae Turpin taking snaps out the backfield.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And he wasn't bad either. And we're not talking jet sweeps. I mean, playing as the tailback and taking the hand off. Do you think this is something they're going to try and implement? Do you think this is them trying to implement this into the playbook? Or do you think they were just having a look and having a mess around with it?
Having a little bit of fun with the idea of the playbook, I say, but who knows? It could come into fruition. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, this could be what, you know, normally you class as exotics, where you do line guys up out of position. And again, if you remember, the whole thing about the West Coast offense is normally that these guys, you maybe have a running back lined up at tight end or something like that. I mean, you go back to, again, obviously 49ers were the first to bring in the West Coast offense. John Taylor, when he caught that touchdown pass in Super Bowl 23 against the Bengals to win, for the 49ers to win, he was lined up as tight end. He'd come in motion from wide receiver, lined up as an inline tight end, and, you know, was able to sneak in the backfield. That's the whole point about how the West Coast offense or the Texas Coast offense works, is that you try and get people out of position so that, you know, a wide receiver is being covered by a linebacker. You know, you're trying to create mismatches that way. And just again, something like having Cavante Turpin, he's certainly got the speed. I mean, even in Killamure, you saw CD Lamb lined up in the backfield as well at times and taking the handoffs. I think this league has developed in such a way that, you know, again, and this is why you in some respects, you water down the running back position, is that you do have wide receivers taking passes, taking runs and what have you, Debo Samuel, etc. You know, you're just using your weapons as best you can and creating the mismatches. So,
yeah, I'm with you. Right, so let's get on to it then. Oh, this is exciting. We are in pre-game mode right now. There is a game on Saturday against the Jags. I know
10 p.m. in the UK, 4 p.m. Central Time.
Yes. So, all right then, guys, here we go. I got some questions. Oh, wait. There was something I was going to say before we get into this. What do you guys, I know me and you have spoken about this, Paul, but we'll just ask everyone at home as well to answer this one. And I'll ask you, Lorne, what do we make of Shady McCoy at Oxnard?
oh, what was the point in them coming down if they had to disappear right at the important part of camp? And then you go on and you start saying, "Oh, well, I was at camp and I saw this, this, and this." You'd already left by the point that you supposedly saw this, this, and this. You know, and the whole thing. Oh yeah, Trayvon Diggs picked off Dak twice. Never mind the 6 touchdowns Dak probably threw 10 minutes before or whatever. You're picking on two, maybe 3 plays, and this is where you want him to throw the interceptions is in practice and not on the field. Test out what you can do in a practice situation.
You just took the words out of my mouth. Yeah.
The thing is so inexcusable is the fact that he said, "Yeah, Tony Parr's looking great." He was even practicing.
He's having a child.
Yeah, I know. Well, no, I'll take it one step further. Colin Coward this week said that Dwayne Haskins wouldn't be a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Yeah,
and he's right, because unfortunately Dwayne Haskins is no longer on the planet. But
that's bad though. That's probably worse than what Shady did. To be honest with you,
honestly, like I've kind of lost respect for these shows. To be perfectly honest with you, like.
It's been like that for a while for me.
Yeah, like you've got your Stephen A's, you've got your Skip Bayless, you've got your Colin Hurds, you're bringing in, like I said, LaShawn
FS1,
yeah. Like the only decent thing that's ever happened is our good friend Dave Hellman joined the show to actually speak some common sense and actual facts on the show, which a lot of the time blows over everyone else's head and like pure dum-dee-dum. Oh, but that through this and that through that.
Yeah,
it's like. But yeah, he's like, and just for stats, he still threw over like 400 yards. He scored 4 touchdowns. He won them the game. So what's your point?
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know why people just still tune into that garbage. You better just listen off to your actual content creators, the official Dallas Cowboys channel, and all the Dallas radio stations if you want to get more proper analysis.
Yeah. Is these shows, see, why they're so popular is the controversy. Because what they're doing is, if you notice, there's never
clickbait. It's clickbait.
It's a form of clickbait, yeah. And all they're doing is, if you ever notice, they're screaming at each other, shouting, arguing with each other. But when you actually listen to what they're saying, there's no actual tangible analysis that you can take away. All that they've done is just make argument points, bullet points against each other. And you just kind of like, and especially you think when there's the younger generation, this is why it bothers me. The younger who are trying to learn the game. What are you learning from this? You're not learning anything apart from you can't communicate. You've just got to shout at each other. Well, how's that interesting? And it'll put them off the game.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And I just saw Joe's comment now. That's probably going to be one of the best comments of the show.
Come on,
you guys are the new media. Great job. Aw.
Let me just pull that. Here he is.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, no, don't forget, it's not just us. There's like we're just a small fraction of all the good guys up there. You've got your Jeff Cavanaghs, you've got all the guys from DallasCowboys.com, Brian Broaddus, Jesse Hawley, Shannon Ross, like doing Hanging with the Boys and stuff like that. You've got all those guys, Bobby Bell from 103.5 The Fan, etc. You've got all those guys. Oh yeah, we need to get him on the show actually.
Needs a message, yeah. But yeah, you're right. They're the ones really like the national stuff. I find is just it's become something it didn't need to be. So let's get into the game then, Lorne. And Paul will come right back. So tell us, guys, as well, the answers to the questions I'm asking them. I'm asking you and everyone at home. So, Lorne, this weekend, preseason games, I'm never interested in results. And this is the thing. This is the crazy bit. Like, these preseason games, again, you said it earlier, like, it's to think of it as more of a extended practice. This literally is what it is. So this is where you want to try things out. You want to see where the depth is on your team. What certain players that did well in practice, i.e., Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks. Like, let's see.
Sorry, I need to tell you. If there's one guy I'm looking forward to seeing, is Jalen Brooks. On Saturday. That's one guy I want to see.
There you go. So you've already helped. So we'll start with the player. We'll get to the players, but what are the positions of interest for you guys first of all this weekend? What's the big? And put them in order if you want. Like your top 3 positions of interest.
For me, and this, I'm going to go. Like, I'm not going to go with the obvious answer, which is offensive line. I'm not going to do that. For me, it's linebacker.
Interesting because of depth.
Depth, and I want to see the Maureen Overshawn. I want to see what he's like in the big stage. Also, I want to see the dynamic running back and how the actual overall offense is running on this West Coast offense.
So how they utilize them and rotate them around and utilize?
Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily say positional group. I would just say the overall offense and how the scheme works. Okay,
so you're talking then. So because this is one bit I put in here because obviously it's very new to us with Sharty.
So I need to bring this comment up.
Very simple.
Yeah. I think kicker is definitely one of the positions we need to keep an eye on. So thank you, GX70. Thank you for that one. You made me nearly choke up there.
I'm sure that was going to be on our lists. But I'll get to you, Lorne. But because you just touched on something, Paul, which was mine, which is with Sharty, is what's the play calling like? Like you say, the West Coast offense. But what's it going to look like? Because this is going to be very, very different to what it was with Callum Moore. So Callum Moore is obviously, he's using that Coriel system where this is a West Coast. So it's going to be very methodical. It's going to be driving down the field in dribs and drabs. Some fans, I think, is going to frustrate because they don't realize what they're in for. Like we're seeing in camp, these deep throws, they do happen because you've got to have them on a West Coast offense. But mostly it's the same routes out of different formations, and it's all short based. It's flats, slants, comebacks, and you're going to see the occasional 9 routes or a bang 9 that you're going to see. But this is what I'm going to be watching, just mostly that. But go on, Lorne, give me your top 3 positions of interest, and tell us at home, guys.
So I think for the first 2. Obviously, I'm fairly similar to Paul. Linebacker is obviously an area of interest. Obviously, we know what we've got in LVE. You want to see progression from Damone Clark.
Yes.
Jabril Cox has looked good in practice so far.
Yeah.
Can he put that when the lights come on?
Yeah.
Can he take a bigger role this year? Running backs wise, obviously, can Rico Dowdle not only differentiate himself from Malik Davis, can he stay healthy as well? Can he, from that point of view, does, now that people are going to be hitting properly, can Juice Vaughn stand up there? Can he come on and take somebody on in pass protection, which, he's throwing himself out there, throwing himself in the way of linebackers and all that, but can he do enough to pick it up, even if he's just a human speed bump or whatever? And then again, obviously in training camp, we're seeing these wide receivers, the 3 Jalens, you're seeing them lights out in training camp. Can you see them as soon as the spotlights come on them? Can you see them? Can you see them following that up?
And for an entire game as well.
Yeah.
So consistency. Yeah, I'm with you. Do you know a sneaky one as well that I think people will overlook because of obviously what's happened at the start of camp is the depth at safety.
Yeah.
So we'll get to see certain individuals we haven't had chance to see play at safety. So just get them in there, throw them in the deep end like kicker, like you said earlier, Paul. Just get them in the deep end, see what it looks like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So here we go then, right? We'll get to the result as we do, when we do a pre-game show. We'll do it, although it doesn't really mean anything. But I'm going to ask this question first. It's going to be one of both ways. First of all, what would you consider against the Jags by the end of the game? What would you consider to be a win once you've seen this?
No injuries.
That's the big one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Being able to move the ball, I think generally seeing progression down the field. If we've got 4 or 5 drives of 3 and out, that's a concern for me, particularly in the early parts where you're playing with your second and third string and not playing with your not playing with your 4 stringers or whatever.
Yeah.
I've got a good one, and it's a 1-letter word. Speed.
Ooh, here's a good one.
That's a great one. Stopping the run. Yes, it's a good one, Joe. Well said. Well said.
Go on and keep going, Lon. What else would be a win for you for this game?
Again, with the way the Jags run their offense as well, a lot of the things that they do are the run pass option as well. So that again, it gives Trevor Lawrence a lot of time. That obviously our division this year with Sam Howell and Jalen Hurts, you're going to be facing a run pass option quite a lot. So can we do something that even these guys don't suddenly start biting up on something if they see what they think is a handoff, they still stick to their lanes and go for the quarterback or whatever in case it has been a misdirection or whatever. Just show that again, the whole thing of playing under the spotlight isn't too much for them, that they can still go out and do their assignment. And when the chips are down and you're needing to make a play, you don't cough it up or whatever.
Yeah. So one that I thought of straight away that I want to see, and I know this sounds weird, because it happened a lot last season, is I want to see how...
before you say it...
I haven't frozen, by the way. Okay, this is what I want. So last season we had it a lot. But how does Shotty and Mike McCarthy handle controversy in the game? So when things start to go away, we've seen it, as we did last year with Kellen Moore, that when things got away from them, it snowballed fast. They could never pull it back. I want to see this in a game where the momentum's swinging the Jags' way. How do you bring it back? How do you get your offense to start coming back on itself? And that would be something I would like to see. Whether it happens is hard to say. But that would be quite a big one for me. But just, I think another big win is low pressures on the quarterback. That would be a good one. But hit me with this one, Paul. What would you consider? I know the first answer is going to be injuries, but what would you consider a loss in this game?
Just completely opposite, not moving the ball.
Not moving the ball on offense, yeah, that'd be the big one.
Yeah.
I think, and I'll give Lorne a chance to think. I think another big loss would be our tight end group not being able to produce, because like a lot of emphasis is going to be on with this West Coast offense and how they're going to be utilized and moving around. Like, does that not look great with a tight end core? And also, what if the cornerback depth isn't as good as we think? because that will scare me. So, like, our down roster cornerbacks don't play up to standard. I'd be like, uh-oh. A lot hinging on these down roster guys on cornerback. But, yeah, go on then. Oh. Yeah. Jalen Tolbert, he is on fire.
That is a great comment, Elizabeth. Fantastic comment. Thank you for that.
I actually, we did a mailbag on Blogging the Boys, and it said, like, you know, what was the biggest fear? And I was just like, that Jalen Tolbert is going out of the door. You know, because I was just like, look, last year was so bad. For him to be up to a standard where you feel comfortable to play him would be a monumental jump. And I just don't see that happening. I'm eating my words right now. He has made the monumental jump.
Yeah.
It's so sorry.
Well, I'll delete.
What was the question for Lauren? Sorry.
What would you consider a loss for this game?
I think for me, you know, conversely, if the offense isn't moving, if the defense is giving up, even as a third or fourth string, these guys, if the secondary is getting picked on or whatever, then, you know, there's a concern there because, you know, can Diggs and Gilmore stay healthy the entire season? Can Bland stay up? You know, what happens if Bland has a sophomore slump or whatever? Mm-hmm. Who have we got to come and stand in? You don't want to be going into the back half of the season, especially when we've got guys like Buffalo that we're playing away in Buffalo. Yeah. You don't want to be going in having to try and retool your roster on the fly to try and to bringing in street free agents to try and bolster a defense that's lost a couple of players. Yeah. You want to see it from these young guys. And again, we're seeing it in practice, but, you know, it's can Eric Scott or whatever, you know, can he be strong in coverage? One-way Thomas, Marquise Bell, that sort of thing as well. Because
Marquise Bell's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, because you are going to, I mean, Jaron Kearse went down for a couple of games last season. Donovan Wilson was down for a couple of games last season. Donovan Wilson, who knows how long he's actually going to be limited by this injury that he's got at the moment. Are you starting the season with Marquise Bell? You know, and obviously now that we've gone and put money into the safety position, you know, some of these players, as soon as they sign that long-term contract that gets them money, unfortunately the injury bug hits, or you know, they think they've made it and they slack off a bit. So you need these guys nipping at their heels. Mm-hmm. So if Trevor Lawrence comes out and plays the first quarter and we're playing our second string and he's moving the ball easily at will or whatever, I don't think that's going to happen. But if he manages to, that's a concern. If there's miscommunication in the defensive backfield, you know, when this is year 3 of the defensive scheme, that's a concern for me.
Yeah. And also the rotational defensive line plays, although I can't see it happening. Just like say they're struggling, say Golston and Gallimore go out there and they're struggling. I don't think it's a concern because, you know, there's plenty of others there that you know can take on the role. But I would consider it a loss in terms of that it restricts your options. Like, at least make these decisions when it comes to cut down day tough. Make them a hard decision. Like, are we taking the extra defensive, you know, 3 tacks, or are we going with 3 nose tackles? Like, make that decision tough. So I don't consider it, but more like it's just limiting options on cut down day where you don't want that. You want to be like, right, we've got a royalty of riches here. How do we want to create this roster?
You also want teams coming towards you to actually say, look, we need such and such. We've got so and so who's actually on the out here, but we reckon he'll be of potential to you. Give us Gallimore and we'll give you this guy in a 5th or something like that. You know, by all means, stack up your trade capital if nothing else. By getting all these guys coming out and actually performing, so that it's giving you sleepless nights on who you're going to be cutting down at the final cut, but also, you know, are you fielding 15 calls, or are you only fielding one call for a player?
Well, here's one for you both and everyone at home, right? And so obviously we need to know what's going on with the offensive line, but do we wrap him in bubble wrap or do we play Tyron Smith?
Bubble wrap.
Bubble wrap.
Yeah, bubble wrap.
Yeah. Are we doing the same with Tyler Biadasz after the recent scare?
Yep.
Just for safety?
Yep.
So here's a question for you. Is there anyone on the offense that's considered a starter you would play?
So what do you mean by that, though?
So Dak is your starting quarterback. Are you playing him? We'll go through it.
Maybe for one series and that's it.
Oh, see, I'm not playing him at all in this game.
Certainly not this game, but over the, I would say, I would want to see him play. You know, last year he didn't play at all in the preseason.
Yeah,
and especially this year we don't have combined scrimmages against another squad. So I would like to see him get at least two drives out of it.
Okay.
You know.
So are we going to play Tony Pollard? Would you play Tony Pollard today?
Saturday, no. Again,
okay.
I would probably want to use the second game as your sort of dress rehearsal for the starters. Try and get, even if it's only 2 drives, you get them out there for those 2 drives, and you come away, and that's a win for me. If you can get an inkling of how this offense is going to work with the starters and what you need to iron out for week 1.
Are you playing Gallup, Cooks, or Lamb? Are you playing any of them at all? Remember Gallup, we had issues with the injury last year. Don't scare. You know, Brandon Cooks is Brandon Cooks. Lamb, we know who he is. Are we just resting them? Are we keeping them off? Letting the other receivers battle this one out?
I think you would. Again, if Dak's not playing, what's the point in having?
What's the point? Yeah.
What's the point in having your first string wide receivers out there? Because touch wood, great. If Cooper Rush needs to come on, you want to have some sort of chemistry with him, but you're not basing your season on Cooper Rush playing. You want, Mike McCarthy has said he wants Dak Prescott to play 20 games this season. That's obviously expecting us to go deep into the playoffs as well. And we need to see that happen. But there's no point in those 20 games being including preseason games.
Yeah. So any of the starting 5 on the offensive line? Obviously starting 5 minus Zach Martin.
Possibly Tyler Smith. Possibly.
Ooh, controversial. Explain.
I don't know. I just think with O'Dougard now gone, I think they kind of have left with no option to kind of like put him in.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. You wouldn't. You're thinking. So you wouldn't put Biadasz in, keep him out because
I keep Biadasz out, but due to like the injury scare.
Yeah.
Smith because we need bubble wrap on him.
Yeah.
Despite how good he is.
I'm with you. So play Tyler Smith and put Farniok in as your center.
Yeah, I'll put Farniok in. Yep. Steele probably not. Like
injury.
Injury. It'd probably be Josh Ball being in there probably.
Or Asim Richards.
Yeah, Asim Richards, yeah.
See how he gets on over there. But obviously, if you're not playing Tyron Smith, you need 2 tackles. So probably could be Ball. So it'd be interesting to see which way around they do it. Because, I mean, especially like the Jags wanting to play this starters, you're going to have something tangible up front. Otherwise, Greer's getting his head pulled off. So, yeah. So here we go then. Final, for the first time, guys, for this season. And I know the score means nothing, but we've got to get into this what's the word I'm looking for? Got to get into this routine. Got to get into the routine.
Yeah, and don't forget, folks who are watching the show right now, be sure to just put your comments in. What do you think the scoreline is going to be? Like, there again, it is a preseason game, but it would be interesting to hear your thoughts. What the scoreline is going to be.
Yeah. So here it is. Look, here it is for the first time. Final score predictions. We're not doing Fantasy Lounge as well. By the way, we're not going to do that right now. We will be doing it in the season, but we're just not doing it right now.
And we will set up the leagues for this year. We will post that. Jamie, so he will organize that up on our Facebook group. So if you're not part of the UK Cowboys Fans Facebook group, be sure to join in if you want to be part of the fun.
All right then. So final score predictions then. Come on, hit me with. I'll start. I'll start everyone off, so it keeps everything nice and simple. You know me. I'm very terrible at this game because I say the same thing every time. Cowboys win. 29-21.
I'm going to say final score is going to be 25-17. And I think Cowboys are going to win. I think you're going to see enough of it. I think there's a bit of bad blood. I mean, obviously, the year that Urban Meyer was coach as well, obviously he went into this preseason game looking to prove something. I think obviously the coaching staff here has that card marked, and I think that's going to come out.
I've heard, but just so you're aware, I've heard on another podcast, College Football One, Urban Meyer's trying to find another coaching job.
Wow.
But okay, anyway, Paul, score predictions.
Cowboys 24, Jags 21.
Oh, it's a close one. All right, interesting.
And believe it, and I am going to say it as my hot take for the game is Aubrey is going to get the field goal to win it.
Now that would put him in very much in the driver's seat from then.
Yep.
Which would be crazy. But there we go. Let's see if that happens, Paul. I'll buy you a new set of golf clubs.
I just spent 300 quid on a new set.
Now I'm gonna have to take you out on the course now.
To be honest, I am like bloody Donkey Kong with a driver, so I still need to work on my technique.
That's easy. It's being consistent. Once you've got the technique, just doing it right every time. But we're not going to get into the golf podcast right now. We'll do that when Tony Romo comes on.
Hey.
But come on then, Paul, hit me with it.
Yes, guys, be sure to go and check out Cowboys Experience for our meet and greets, stadium tours, tailgating, and most important of all, game tickets and much, much more. Be sure to go and check out cowboysexperience.com, where you can find more information and details about their upcoming packages for the 2023 season.
Mr. Lonius Maximus.
Yeah, and as we've been building up all season, and we're working in the background, still fine-tuning the package as well. So I think most people got a sort of preliminary itinerary this week. Paul's obviously working on a bit of merchandise as well.
Merchandise for the trip, yeah.
We're all going to be styling and profiling when we come across. So if you're interested in joining us for the Thanksgiving Day package, obviously drop a line to Cowboys Experience, check out our socials, and get a bit more information.
Yes, and go and check out all our friends, everybody there from top to bottom, as well as check out the World's Team on Blogging the Boys with Paul and Meg, and my various articles, rambling on, trying to make myself sound intelligent. But yes, you will find everybody on there. Give them all a look. They've all been guests at some point on YouTube. But that is it for this week, guys. We are excited that football is back. Football
Thank God
is here, baby. So Saturday, kick-off 10 p.m. UK time. Make sure to tune in. We will be on our usual chats, so be sure to come and join us if you're about. But as we say every week, have a great weekend. Stay safe. We will be back next Thursday to talk about what we've seen, camp, everything else. But we will end the show saying thank you to everyone at home. And these guys always have the last word.
Okay. Just bring this up again. Paul, you missed out again. Go Wolves. And,
Lauren, I am going to kick you square in the nuts. Just for anyone is, before we do finish off, just for everyone's aware, Lauren is an Edinburgh Wolf. I'm an East Kilbride Pirate. So we have our own little rivalry here in football here in the UK. So we're like kind of enemies, but at the same time, we're good friends. So it's like, yeah, screw the Wolves.
Big grudge match this weekend. But have a good week, guys.
Yeah, that as usual, Dallas forever, Philly for never.